so now you mastered all the 8 Dorian positions. Okay, now I'm going to show you something with that. Everything that you learn on the guitar goes on and becomes a tool to learn the next thing. So it's like kind of like making a building, you know. So you want to get those foundations real strong, because as you try to go on to the advanced stuff, if the foundation is not strong, you won't get it. So let me show you just what you can do with these Dorian positions. I remember a while back I said something about G7, the dominant 7th chord, taking all the altered notes. There's one way that those altered notes get organized, and it's with a melodic minor scale. And the rule goes like this. If it's a G7th chord, you want to use an A-flat melodic minor scale. Okay, and of course, I think that that's way too complicated. But let me show you something, how easy it is to convert a Dorian scale to a melodic minor. Instead of using what a book might tell you, raise the 6th and 7th degrees of a minor scale to make a melodic minor, I got an easier way. I take this D Dorian right here, I'm going to raise the next to the last note. Now I have D melodic minor, okay? And it also has that note that I like. Play D minor 7th, Rich. Okay? I found out that if I take this Dorian position here, and I'm going to play it for you. I'm going to convert it to melodic minor. Okay. Now, I'm going to get that picture and I'm going to move it down to here, to A flat. Okay. Play G7th. Let me show you what we get here. We get, there's the flat 9. There's the plus 9. Play chord again. There's the 3rd. There's the root. Again. There's the flat 5. There's the plus 5. Play the chord. And there's the root again. Again, the chord. Okay, so here's an example. I'm going to play D Dorian. Now when I get the G7, I'm going to move up a tritone or to there, like that. A flat melodic minor. You know, this reminds me of a funny story. Before there was books and before everybody became so educated about music, my father was a guitarist. And I learned things, here's how things were labeled to me. Tunes went, it was one of these. Or it was one of those. Everything was one of these, one of them, one of those. And I knew what he meant because each one had a sound, okay? So don't get too hung up on the names. So I'm going to give you one of these and one of these. Okay, it doesn't matter how you think about them, but as long as they make a difference, the picture makes a sound to you. That's all you need to know. You don't really need to know the names unless you want to impress your girlfriend or whoever. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, Okay, I moved into the next Dorian picture, and I'm playing D Dorian, the A flat. One of these, and this. 2 pictures, okay? I'm going to go through all of them, and I'll just show you what this sounds like. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. another quick thing that you can do with the Dorian position. Take any one of those pictures. When the chord goes to G7, you move down 1 fret. Do it slow first. 1, 2, 3. Okay? You could even go up a half step. Okay? So I'll give you a couple examples of these shapes moving up and down. I'm going to take this shape, that Dorian picture, right? 1, and I'm going to move it down a half step. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another way. Okay, so you can move down a half step with your Dorian picture, or up a tritone with the Dorian picture that you converted to melodic minor. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you can go crazy with it. Okay, but at the beginning, do it slow and start to know what they sound like. The next thing I'd like to talk to you about, which is probably what I get asked about the most, is the technique, picking. Okay, and let me say this about this, is I wish there was a shortcut for this, but there isn't. The only way to get really good technique is practice. A long time, a lot of hours. But I did find certain things out, and I'd be happy to pass on to you. When I started to play the guitar, I learned, like everybody else, down, up, down, up. And you play a scale like this. Down, up, down, up, down, up, okay? And that worked for a long time, except when I started to listen to saxophone players and piano players, I found that I couldn't do what they could do. I couldn't play, Okay, I couldn't do that. I hear those, I hear them play sweeps all the time, especially Coltrane. Okay, so I figured, well, geez, what could I do? I can only go back and forth. You can only do that so fast. So I started to look what happened to the pick. Now, if I strike this string, okay, doesn't matter what string you do this to, you'll see the same thing happen to the pick. I have my second finger on the 5th fret, 4th string, the note G. I'm just going to play one note. Now look where that pick is. It's already resting on the next string. Okay, so if I had to play this, let's say, let's do it like this. And then the next note was here. Now, if I'm using down, up, look what happens. Okay, I'm already there. But to follow the down, up, I have to go around the string and do that. Okay? Okay, so it occurred to me, well, geez, it's already there. Why don't I go like that? Okay? So, if this was the next note, it becomes like that. Backwards, the same thing happens. If you strike that string up, stroke, the pick's already at that string. So why go it's already there. Okay? So now it's not that easy to switch. It took me a long time to switch. So what I'd like to do now is since you already know these fingerings, I'll give you one fingering, 6V2, and I'll show you the picking, and you can apply the same idea to anything you play, all right? It's been referred to as sweep picking, oscillating picking. It's got more names than I can't keep track of them all, okay? But the idea is simple. Since the pick is already there, you might as well keep using the same stroke. And that's it. It's not any more complicated than that. But like everything in music, it's a simple thing to understand, but it's very, very difficult to get used to. So if I take 6V2, I got down, up, okay? Now you have two notes on the same string. So it's dumb to go two downs, that's for sure. So you don't have a choice. Down, up, the next string. Now remember, the last string I left was up, so I have no other choice but to go down. Down, up, down, up, down, down. Right there. That's the spot you got to get. Do it again. Down, up, down, up, down, down. Right there. You see the pick already on the next string. Okay. Again, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down. It's going to happen again right here. Okay, so that much again. Down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down. Again it happened. Up, down, up. Here's the whole thing. Down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. Okay. Now backwards. I'm going to start with an upstroke, but I'll show you in a minute that it doesn't matter which way you start. By the third pick stroke, you're back to your other pattern. I'll start with an up. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, up. See that? Okay, that much again. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Once again, down. Okay. Now it would make no difference if I started on a downstroke. Down, up, up. I'm right where I was before. Down, up, up. The note A was still on an upstroke, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so now what you need to do is do it slow until you get used to making that sweep across the two strings. Until that becomes a habit, just like down, up did. And you're going to find that you're going to have a problem. Your upstroke is going to be weak, especially. Okay. Now, it's a good exercise for that. Pick any note, play down, up, down, up, down, up, and put the accent like this. Now you're going to accented note and unaccented note. And it's down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay. Now, try and reverse it. Keep the accent the same, accent, unaccented, but start with an upstroke and make it sound see if you can get how close you can make them be. They're almost exactly the same. Work on it until you can get this with a downstroke as an upstroke. Here's up. Here's down. Okay? And another good exercise would be to play a triplet, because with a triplet you'd get down, up, down. Okay? And then the next triplet would be an up. So your accent is shifting from a downstroke to an upstroke. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay? Okay, you can work that up. Okay, you got to get your strokes equal, down and up. Okay, and It takes a lot of practice. And if you want to increase your technique, that's what you need to do. It's just physically impossible to get any more technique than, I don't know what the limit is here by going down, up, down, up, down, up. Just physics, motion, you know. So that's what I say. Another exercise might be, you take an arpeggio, something that goes across, let's take 3 strings for now. Simple triad. You go 3 down, 3 up. So you can get to practice the pick going in the same direction. Okay? Then 4 notes. Down, 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 and 3 ups. Take a diminished arpeggio and do it. Down, up, down, down, up. And I found the little trick about this is that if I know that this is what's coming up, I have 3 downstrokes in a row, I might start with an upstroke. All right, same thing with a minor 7th arpeggio. Okay, start with an up. Minor 9th arpeggio. See, I start with an up, and I have 4 downs after that. Okay, minor 11. Okay. Now, remember, practice the scales the right way until it becomes a habit. There's not much more to it than that. And the only way to do it is it takes a long time, because think about how long you've been playing down, up, down, up, down, up, if that's the way you play. If you've been playing that for a long time, it's not going to go away in 2 weeks. Also, going back to the pedal thing, it's 2 downs and an up. And the scale is 6V4. That's the picture that I'm using. And you have to remember also, is the further the further apart the strings are, the harder it is. So you got to watch you don't touch the strings in the middle. If you really want to make yourself crazy, put the pedal on the bottom. Then you got a down and down, up, down. Okay, that's, I need to practice that myself. Yeah, I'd like to talk to you a little bit now about chords. And if you're like me, the way I used to be, you'd get a book about chords, and it'd be, 4,000 chord versions, okay, with no rhyme, logic, or reason to it. Well, again, that would be impossible to learn them all. Okay, so now I found another little shortcut. Is from a dominant 7th chord, I can make every other chord. I pick this C7 here. If I want to make it a minor, I lower the 3rd. If I want to make it a 9th, I raise the root. If I want to make it a major 7th, I raise the 7th. Any configuration is possible, okay? And this is on group 6, 4, 3, 2, okay? Here's the next inversion. Okay, so there's 4 inversions. So theoretically, inside here is 4 of every kind of chord that you can possibly manipulate. Okay, once more. Okay, now I like to use this and also follow the rules of music too. Remember, I said something about 2-5-1s. So the first thing I would do after I learned these, first thing I would change is I'd make it a minor 7th. I'm going to go to D7th here. Lower the 3rd, right there. Now I have D minor 7th. Here's the next D7. Thirds on the top, another D minor 7. D7, lower the third, another D minor 7. This D7, D minor 7. And again, pictures. 4 pictures of D7, for example. 4 pictures of D minor 7. Okay, now I'm going to connect the pictures and go 2, 5, 1. This is a way that you should practice it. I'm giving you a methodology of how to practice learning chords. Those 2 voicings seem to go together. They're the closest ones. Again. And the last one. Okay. Now, good thing about the guitar is you have a low E and a high E. So if you take this voicing, let's start with D7th again. And this string and this string, same name. So if I get this picture and I take this note and I put it up here, I'll get 4 more D7s up here. Do each one again. Take that note, put it up the top, the other E string. Okay. There's that D7th. This one's easy. Okay. This one. Like that. Okay, but you want to refinger it, and you'll get this. And this note's going to go up there. Okay. Now, with a lot of practice, now you have to remember, whatever you can do here can now be transferred to the top 4 strings. Okay? And that's 2 weeks of work. 1 week for dominance, that's 3 weeks of work. 1 week for dominant 7s on 6, 4, 3, 2, that's string grouping. 1 week to turn them into minor 7s. And then a 3rd week to put them on the top 4 strings, and another week to make a minor 7s. There's 4 weeks. Okay, now add the major 7th, 2, 5, 1. Take a dominant 7th, raise the 7th a half step. Raise all the B flats to B. Easy. Okay, put them on the top. C7. There's the 7th, I raised it. This one's easy. Another, I'm not crazy about that voicing. Change that, change it to that. C major 7. So now you got 2, 5, 1 on 6, 4, 3, 2. Now on the bottom. Same thing on the top. Okay, you need to experiment with making them 9s, minor 9s, whatever. And that brings me to, you need to have, this is a chord vocabulary. Okay? Now as long as we're at it, I'm not going to go through every one, just so you get the idea. Is the group that you got up top, 4, 3, 2, 1, means the 4th string, the 3rd string, the 2nd string, the 1st string. Those voicings can be moved to the middle 4 strings. And here's how I learned how to do it. I took these 4 notes, E, B flat, C, and G. And I found those 4 notes in the middle, E, B flat, C, and G. In fact, it almost kind of looks the same. Exact same voicing in the exact same octave. Take the next one. G, C, E, B flat. And it comes out like that. This one. B flat, E, G, C. Write them down on a piece of music paper if you want to, and you'll get this. And the last one. G, C, G, B flat, E. Okay, well I can do it way up here, but this is easier. C, G, B flat, E. So this in the middle is now this. Okay, remember, like I said, minor sevenths, ninths, anything you can dream up is now in 3 places: 6, 4, 3, 2, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the middle four strings: 5, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so if somebody asks you how many C7s you know, well, you have 4 of them for each group, so now you got 12. Now these 4 strings, the same method that I transpose these. Take these and write them down and play those notes on the bottom 4, and you'll get this. I take the group 6, 4, 3, 2. You notice there's a string skipped. Now, let's say I was a real studious student. I don't want to say that too fast. Anyway, so I wrote these down. So I'm going to find these notes: G, E, B flat, and C. I'm going to find them on another set of strings. They parallel each other. One string's 5, 3, 2, 1. And I would get this. See? This is that. Up an octave. It, again, kind of looks the same. So you get yet another set. Okay, here are the 5 basic sets. Okay, that's the science of it all. All right, and there's about a year's worth of stuff in there if you went through it systematically and did it in every key as well. I found that when different playing situations, like especially if I have to play bass lines, okay, first thing that I'll do with a chord is throw away the 5th. You don't need it. I like the way 3-note chords sound better. So if I took this minor 7th in the middle, which came from this D7, lower the 3rd, I'm going to take this note out. So now I got this. Now if I finger it like this, when I play, I'll get this other note in there. So I have to refinger it. It looks like this. Okay? Now I'm going to make it go to G7th, and I can make it go to G7th like this. And I can take that 5th out. Okay? But now it doesn't give me much room to work a bass line. That's another reason why you want to take a note out so you can have a finger free. Okay, now bass lines work like this. Simple bass line. What you want to do is, let's say the chords are D minor 7, G7, C. Again, you want to connect this note D to G. Okay? In a scalar fashion, let's call it like that. Now I can go like this. Okay, so what I did? B, C, D, A, G. All right. Now, let's say I wanted to do it ascending. Or let's pick a different fingering. Now I'm picking this D minor, and I'm leaving out the top A. Okay. And if I get there, wow, that's only 3 beats, so I'm getting to this G too soon. So I need a passing note. Another shape, okay? G7, right? To C. Okay. Now, speaking of shapes, I found out that if I get this shape and move it down a set of strings to this shape, I have a G7th without a 5th. It was this originally. I'm going to take away the 5th. We're going to get that. So, I'm going to go to this C, which was this C7th, and I took this out, okay? Now, okay, so now I'll slow it down. G7, C major. Simple one. I'll give you another basic shape, just simple to get you started. It's this D minor, but I'm going to play it like this so I can play the bass line. There, I need that note to get to the G, otherwise I would get to G too soon. Passing note. The rule is you want to approach the root of the chord from a half step or a whole step above or below. Like I can get to that G from above this way. Or a half step. Or below. Has to be a half step because I don't have a note in between. Okay, so now, review. This shape, to this shape, to this shape. Now here you're going to get this shape, to this shape, to this shape. Okay? Another way, you could take this D minor. Okay? Now, you have to remember about bass lines, a lot of it is an illusion. It's like, like an optical illusion. I'm going to play D minor 7, G7 with a turnaround. A turnaround is a couple of chords that turns itself around to the chord, to a specific chord. In this case, I wanted to go back to D minor. Now, there's 3 of these turnarounds. D minor, G7, C major, D minor 7, E minor, A7, okay? That's 1. I call that 1, 2, 3, 6. Then there's another way. 1, 4, 3, 6. And yet one more. C major, B7, B flat 7, A7. I call it 1, 7, flat 7, 6. I'm doing this by numbers because when I do it in other keys, I only think about the numbers. And I don't think about what the chords they are. But from the beginning, you can think about the chords. So you got 1, 2, 3, 6. 1, 4, 3, 6. And they all turn themselves back around to D minor. So. Okay, so it's you think that you're hearing. I'm only playing the chord where I can. I'm not playing the chord every place that you think there is. If I can slow it down, there, play 2 notes like this, and I'm holding on to it to let it ring as long as possible. And there's another chord. So I'm letting the bass line come first, and not the chords. In other words, it's important for me. It's more important to play a good bass line than it is to make sure that I get all the chords. Some of them are fake me out. You think you think that you're hearing a chord, but you're not. Like okay, it sounds like there's a lot of notes there. I always ask bass players, "What is that?" They say, "It's just a tick-a-ta-ta." Well, what is that? So they made them. That's what it is. There's a technical term for you. Do you know your tick-a-ta-tas? Okay, now you could go crazy. There's a lot of ways to do all this. First one I showed you. This shape, this shape, this shape, okay? Remember, the important thing is connect the bass lines in a proper way. You want to get to the root of the next chord. You want to approach it by half or a whole step above or below the target note. You want to put it on the beat, the first bar of the first beat of the bar where the chord changes. And go for the bass lines first and add the chords later. It's usually a 3-note chord. You'll find your own shapes. This is one of the things that made me switch to 7-string guitar. Was I want to keep going down. Okay, so I can give you a few examples on 7-string. One of the reasons I switched to 7-string guitar was to get, I like to play bass lines, and to get a true bass line, it extended the range a little more. And also, like, for example, this chord here, G major 9, like this G here, I can get the whole chord like that. Whereas before in a 6-string, here, you have to remember that this note on the guitar is the same as that, which is really not a bass note. So those other bass lines that I showed you earlier, okay, now, so extended the range of the guitar down a couple more notes, and also a lot of jazz tunes are in E flat, and which is a note you don't have at on the 6-string. So, for example, I'm going to end the tune in the key of E flat. that low E flat. And like I said before, the guitar is very visual to me. When I first got this 7th string, I could sort of play it, but I couldn't look at it. And so now I have that problem with the 6th string, because when I look at that, it changed my pictures, so to speak, in a way. If somebody came to me for a private lesson, the first thing that I would do, no matter how well you played or how well you didn't play and what you knew and what you didn't know, first thing I would do is I would standardize all your fingering so we would have a common language. And the very first lesson would be 6V2 and 5V2. That would be the first part of the lesson. The second part of the lesson, I would show you the major 7th arpeggios, etc. And the third part of the lesson would be like those dominant 7ths that I showed you earlier, string 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then I would give you an improvisation exercise, playing over a 2, 5, 1, but in a certain way. But I'll start in the beginning, because a lot of people don't know how to practice. When I talk about playing everything, make everybody do everything in every key, because in order to see the whole picture of the guitar, you need to do it in every key. So I would take 6V2 and 5V2 and go around the cycle of fifths. C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G, C. Play all the major scales like that. Now, you need to start them doing slower. I would suggest maybe this tempo. Etc. I'd go around the cycle of fifths, alternating between 6V2 and 5V2. And I would maybe pick that tempo, maybe a little slower if you need to. And then every day, just move the metronome, get a metronome and move it the smallest amount that it'll move. You won't even notice it. And the whole idea of the exercise is to get through all 12 keys without stopping. Then you'll know them. For example, I'll play all 12 for you. Okay, now that's the exercise, and it doesn't have to be that fast, but eventually maybe you can get it that fast. When they're all the thing you're looking for is to make them all the same. You shouldn't be able to play C any better than you should B major or D flat. They should all be the same. And you would do that with the rest of the fingerings as well. And same thing with the arpeggios. C major 7, F, etc. around the cycle of fifths. Okay, that would be number 2 of the lesson. Number 3 would be the chords, and I would do the same thing. 4 C7s, 4 F7s, 4 B flats, 4 E flats around the circle. Etc. And the next thing I would do is I would make you take, let's say 6V2, and you would solo over 2-5-1 at random. Just use those the fingerings in 6V2, and you would do this in every key. And then the second part of it would be to target the root of each chord, so you know what the root sounds like and also where it is. Again, getting the visual connected to your fingers to your ear. So I'll do it in a key of C. Maybe I'll do 2 keys. Key of C. 1, 2, 3. Remember, I'm targeting the roots. 1, 2, 3, 4. the idea is not, doesn't have to sound, you know, that hip. It's got to just be right, and you can learn what the root sounds like. It has a certain sound, and to describe the sound, it's something you can't describe. It's like trying to tell somebody, trying to describe the color blue or yellow to somebody that doesn't know what you're talking about. So it's something you have to experience. And I would do that too in every 6V2, 5V2. In fact, I'll do the key of F. So I'm going to play G minor 7 for a bar, C7 for a bar, F major 7 for 2 bars, and I'm going to use 5V2, this scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that process would keep going on through all 12 keys, and with both sets of fingerings. All 12 keys with 6V2, 5V2. Next lesson, all 12 keys with 6V4, 5V4. Next lesson, all 12 keys with 6H2, 5H2. Fourth lesson, same thing, connect them. Then I might take the third of each chord and target the third of each chord. I'll just do a real short version of that. Key of C, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you notice that has a different sound than the root. And the same process would go on in all 12 keys, and then I would take the 5th of the chord, the 7th, the 9th, the 11th, the 13th, and then the altered notes. And by that time, there shouldn't be any place on the fingerboard that you would be lost, and also, theoretically, you should know what all the notes are going to sound like. And that's like something that you should shoot for. I mean, but that takes a lifetime to do that. You know, I still find things out doing that. But that's a good way to see what all the notes sound like and get a pretty good idea of what's going on. And that would basically be, if you took private lessons, that'd be basically your first 5, 10, or 20 lessons. And there's enough information on this video that you can take one piece, combine it with another piece, take a scale, a chord exercise, Dorian position, take a Dorian, take those 8 Dorian positions, learn them in all 12 keys. There's a lesson. Then take one of those Dorian positions and target the root of the 2, 5, 1 in there. It just goes on and on and on. And after, the next thing I would do is I would get these little melodic cells and put them through the scales. For example, learn to play the scale in thirds. F scale, etc. And then make the cell a little bigger. And I'm going to do that to every note of the scale. Okay, I'll do it through all 12 keys. And it's a slow process, and like I said, thinking way back in the beginning, it depends, you know, how good at this you want to get. If you just want to be so-so, then just practice so-so. If you just want to do it for fun, then you don't need to go through all 12 keys. Maybe find a couple tunes that you like, find out what the 2 5s are, and just find some things that work over those particular 2 5s in that particular tune. And remember, now look, a lot of people will go in a real book and look, and they'll see D minor 9, G13, flat 5, augmented 11s with a broken sync. You know, like those names that are that long. Well, you want to ignore. You want to play D minor 7, G 7th, and C major 7th, or whatever, C6 to C major 7. At least that's what to think, okay? Because it doesn't matter. For example, if the chord's G 7th plus 5 plus 9, like this chord, okay? Well, a lot of books will tell you, well, you need to play the A flat melodic minor. Well, to me, that's like writing on a white piece of paper with white ink, because I'm going to play the same altered notes in the scale. Can you play that chord for me? One more time. Okay, so I'm playing that A flat melodic minor, or that picture that I made before earlier, and Rich is playing the same chord. We're playing the same notes, so we're kind of canceling each other out. Now, the way I think it should be, I think it sounds better if Rich were just to play a plain G7 like this, and I'll play the other stuff. Okay? Go ahead. Again. Okay, so that gives me the freedom to alter the notes. We're not playing the same notes. So here's the opposite. Rich, you play this chord, and I'm just going to play the notes from the C scale. Okay? Ready? 2, 3, 4. One more time. Okay, so now that's creating the tension because I'm not matching it. You know, you have to remember, in reality, this is all going by. You have to remember that music is vertical. It's moving all the time. The way we're looking at it right now is like taking a little picture of it. And until somebody comes up with a better way to take it apart, that we're stuck with that. But in reality, it's there's a bass player that's going to be going. Somebody might be comping on top of it. Okay, so it's never actually happening at the same time. So the important thing you have to remember is to make it melodic. And that's why, like I said, it doesn't matter if people are extending the chords or altering them, because it's going to go by, and it really, you only need to know whether it's major, minor, or dominant, and you alter it to any way that you see fit. And that's as simple as I can make it. And I think that if you follow these few little simple rules and few little tips that I showed you about shapes and making things be visual and using your ear, practice it enough till the shape gets associated with a sound in your ear. And you got to remember, it's just a habit. I remember when somebody first showed me, well, I mean, that whole shape, I knew what that was going to sound like before I did it. You know, and this is much the same thing. Might be a lot more shapes, more sounds to learn, but the idea is the same. So you need to start somewhere, so I hope that these few things that I showed you throughout this video helps. And thank you very much. I had a good time doing this. Thank you.